well, technically not a day shoot. Well, it's technically 8, so it's not a day shoot. But yeah, we have a little relay station scene with the 2 Decepticons. And we're going to shoot in here on the Starcracker set, former Starcracker set. And we're just going to start rolling. So there's no making of here. So, yeah. March the 2nd. Just if you want to know what's going on, it's March 2nd. Yeah. Alright, so... This is the Tracer's Pounce. This is the first Pounce and Wingspan. This was Hadon in the Transtech thing, but he's actually Skylynx, actually. The other guy is a Wingspan. Wingspanning. Skylynx. Kind of reversed them, but yeah. But here we have these Predacons are doing their evil things in their little command bay here. So yeah, a little bit of a leader in there. It's not really making of. I guess it kind of is to explain it. So yeah, this is making of. You want to mark that? Making of footage. And then we're going to start rolling after that. Okay, that's all this is. Yeah, I got like just a little scene with the two Predacons plotting their little thing. More of a making. This is just a little snippet that tonight, because it is late. Well, I started late on it. That we don't necessarily need. The scene is just there. It's not filler. It's part of the story. But for some reason, it drops off at the end of the scene, and there's no. There's the one scene with Rollbar and the other fighting something on the planet. There's no transition at all, as if something was deleted. So yeah, we'll have to fix that. And there have been a few cases of that in here, where the script, the writer of the story just didn't remember to fill in a transition or do a scene or have a character walk out of the scene or something. Because usually when you have a dialogue, as opposed to doing just a rant into a dialogue in a scene, you have 2 characters engaging in a conversation, and there has to be something that closes the conversation, or at least implies it. Otherwise, yeah, there has to be something in there other than just, oh, we switched. Or if they're watching a screen where something's happening, which would be boring, I won't do that. Then they would, that transition there would be one of them saying, "Cut to the view screen, let's see what they're up to," or something, and see what they're up to. But I'm not going to do that because that's not going to be interesting. But that isn't what's in the script. There isn't anything in the script. So the next scene, these 2 guys later interrogate the other guys. They've called in Beastbox and Squawtalk in the next scene when they appear, and it's a different room, so we don't need to worry about that. So this is just real brief. What's going on? Yeah, because instead of wasting a lot of film on whether something's going on, I'll just go on to the next thing. Get it done quick. Well, hopefully efficiently, not quickly, not rushing it. Just get it done efficiently. Okay, presuming that the tracer has been put on the making of. Presuming the tracer has been put on the thing, and that the Autobots have left the latest base. They're still on the planet, because it doesn't make sense that they would go elsewhere to other planets, as I said earlier. And there's so much skipping between dialogue and stuff that there kind of needs to be a bridge here somewhere. There's a scene where they immediately jump back to the robot that's in distress, but it's a different one. It's a different soldier, and Squawktalk is interrogating him, but it's not the same soldier. It's not the same scene as the other scene, and there's no reason. I mean, it's saying what where the orders came from, whatever. Yeah, it's and there's a homing device has already been activated. And they don't say from whom. I'm assuming the Decepticons have activated the device. So we're gonna just do this Autobot dialogue with Airflight, and it's just mainly Airflight, like trying to convince himself that leaving one of the soldiers behind was a good idea. and the other guy kind of like not liking that. And I'm going to put some of his words into the other characters to make it more visually interesting, other than him in dialogue of air flight with his like a captain's log, which is boring. So yeah, so we have this sort of let's kick the light that way a little bit. Yeah, that's better. And this is the older camera, but I like the visuals, also the timing. So let's do this. Okay, this is the interrogation scene. Continuing the... we need a snappy comeback from her. Even though it looks like she doesn't appear again until briefly, I think, like next chapter, because this is basically... Okay, you got an episode that's what, 48 pages? So it's like 48 minutes, roughly. And we're at 21. So this is like the end, near the end of episode 1, basically, of the two-parter. This little two-parter, one of the segments. So she should have a snappy comeback. So this is that. Okay, so we're gonna have to reshoot the scenes of just the robot, but actually the dialogue is okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna film some static shots of the guy. The dialogue is fine, but his head was off slightly. So it's just gonna be his face. We're just gonna film his face. I'm not gonna worry about reshooting the dialogue because it's fine. So I'm just gonna do some face shots of... Actually, there's some dialogue missing, isn't there? Hold on. So, this is going to be the dropship scene. Since it leads to a scene on the planet almost immediately. They spend a lot of time on the planet. To the next job, yep. Ew, and what's messed up is they don't actually rescue that character until like the last act of a 7-part story. So yeah. Anyway, making of, we're gonna go right to. Yeah, they don't rescue her in this act. And by to deploy 4 minutes mark. So air flight. Okay. Action. Making of March 3rd. Day shoot. Battle scene where there's no battle actually happening. So we're just gonna transition out of these guys here in the shot into there's a battle literally outside, out of their little cave that they're hiding in. They come out of the cave and they're like, oh shit! And this shit's going down out here. So that's what's going on. So let's do this. Yeah, right now. Just no, very little transition here. We have him arriving, so what we're going to do is say that the 2 Autobots came down to find the missing buddies they left behind. And the Shrybats are surrounding them. They're about to get cooked, looks like. Yeah, I'll dub in the action stuff later. We're not filming the action scene, we're just filming their dialogue, which is going to be interesting. Yeah, so let's cut over there and let's go. It looks like in making of. Looks like in the script, Rollbar and the medics and the others show up and they have found one of the guys. But it looks like Prime only has a line on the intercom. So he's not in the, so Dragon Prime's not in the shot. He just asks him what's going on as the others have showed up. So these can be nondescript other Transformers that show up that are set. Like, for instance, that Dreadwing there isn't really Dreadwing, it's just another guy. Yeah, let's have the other Sentry's cavalry coming in to rescue them. Since they really have no dialogue in the script anyway, so, right, thank you. The script, it's some other guy, it's Boatbot or something, but it's, this is not really making of, it's just, I'm going to keep rolling. Yeah, and here it is, it's Windblade, which should make some of the more fanatical like leftist fans are like, right. I mean, alt-right fans. There can't be that many of them for real that actually rate Transformers. Of course they don't. But yeah, they're going to be misogynistic. Well, not really. This is a spoof of that because that's Windblade that they've captured. The spoof of that. So, I guess this is a little bit of a making, just for fun, in here and on the end. Okay, this is Calicat. The Calicats are out of Macon. We're on the set of Day 4, March 4th, making of footage. What we're going to do now is we're going to do basically the dialogue parts of the battle on the planet, which leads up to about page 37, 38. All the footage that you saw for the bridge screen that was already shot, of course, it looked like anything because they didn't show what they were doing on the planet. The script, unfortunately, calls for 3 troop deployment carriers to land, and then scores of Autobots to come out, and then scores of Decepticons surround them and attack them. Although we have lots of Transformers, a lot of them look like very familiar Transformers. So it'll be confusing if they appear later as other guys, so we have to be careful who we put on the set to fight them. Apparently, there's a Decepticon in the thing here too. Yeah, but the actual dialogue is basically between the monster bots and the attackers. So it's really not much of a scene in terms of dialogue, but it does glue the whole thing together for what they're doing in the shots. So let's do that. And yeah, so even though they mention all these, elaborate, as though, Rob Powers thought that's how you do a transition, right? You have like scores of enemies and heroes fighting and stuff. The problem with that is it gets to be like a Michael Bay movie. This is before Michael Bay by a good 8 years. The original script was 1998, and the remake 2002. It was before Michael Bay, which was 2007. And if you or it was a little bit Lord of the Ringsy, actually, in a way, the remake slightly. I think he added the scores of robots, and he didn't need them. There are other transitions that drop off that he needed to fix. Whereas scores of other Transformers isn't as interesting. It's always better to have your basic crew fighting your basic enemies, and then to go from there, which is like they do in the Hero Academia series. But even there, it gets confusing toward the end. So that has nothing to do with here. But yeah, the movie. But yeah, the Transformer. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with a movie that does that. It's like Avengers or something. It's just that here, it's impossible to film that with plastic figurines that are 5 inches high on a set. You can't film that. It's not possible. It was really difficult to film Star Trek like that. So, usually you can go by the blinky light method and just show lots of stuff blowing up. That's the Dragon Ball Z method. So a lot of like blah on the screen, and then fools the audience long enough to think something happened. Anyway, so let's try this. A dicey bit more making of going on here. Just a quick snippet. What I meant was the guy that wrote this didn't have really formal training in writing a story, but it's an interesting premise because the what's going on. He tried to fix transitions to the 6 characters on the planet, 3 Autobots and 3 Decepticons, by having them fight a whole slew of other guys to distract the reader into thinking, oh, there's a lot of action happening here, when actually not a lot of action is actually happening here. That's what I meant. Yeah. It's just them getting ambushed. So yeah, the story does not gel with the transitions because he added those and they don't fit. In some cases, he didn't add a transition, but in this case, there's transitions. And we did the screen footage and the bridge footage, so let's do this. Okay, so slight alteration of the scene. This is after the Regis Maximus basically transformed and completely jacked them up. They didn't really do anything. It's just yet another series of dialogue that doesn't say anything. She just fires the drones. I don't know how we're going to film that. But just that. Took that, Yeah. Okay, making of note that in the script, the line where the double-headed Decepticon is going on about his teeth, it's in the script, but it doesn't make sense. So, are they going to lose that scene? Because, yeah, it's like, what, and then they mentioned something about the guy going to get eaten later. That shouldn't be in there either. Because they're no longer monster bots. It's now these two guys. So it does change the dynamic of what they would do. Yeah, the one guy's hand is gone. But I don't think that's a deal breaker. Maybe it got blown off. Anyway, yeah, so, yeah. So in the script, we have Airflate having returned to the bridge to be with the other guy. Night Racer's still positioned as still unattainable. That's not exciting, that he just like turned around and left and went back to the bridge. So let's have them on their way to the bridge. They're not there yet. And we're going to have Grotesque show up, or Rekgar show up in this part of the space we haven't been in. And they're going to have their dialogue with the dude on the bridge and Prime, who is right here with them in the shot. Then it's visually more interesting, you see. So yeah, we're going to do this. Establish where they are. And that their secret location is going to be found out by the Decepticons. And we are rolling. Let's pause. And testing footage. And rolling. Action. So her line is, "It's about time you guys showed up. Sorry, we're at the hell of a party. We didn't mean to stay so long." There goes his fucking head again. Oh shit! Roll bar, no! Okay, I did a part shortly. What I would like to do in the next scene, when you want to film it, is because Night Racer is not mentioned, Windblade is not mentioned again because it's supposed to be Boatbot, it was a different character. Let's have her get rescued. But not by the Autobot troops here. It's going to be by Punch. Counterpunch's buddy's going to show up. And he's going to hand them over to these guys as they're leaving. So that's what's going to happen here. They're going to be going out on their way to go back. And they're going to be all like, oh, here's the prisoner. So that particular scene is fixed. Just because it's not in the script. And so, yeah. Let's do that and then end the scene. Gonna go to action. No making of. This is a scene in the shuttle bay. Now this is a scene that was in the script immediately before the You Moron scene, and it still could be. We could put them back on the ship, but we'd have to have a transition to the ship escaping, which you could do that. You could still have it in order in the script. So yeah, it doesn't make sense for the scene to end right there because just we're back. It's kind of like So let's have a little bit of this other scene that's a little later after the Morons part thrown in here at the very beginning of the other sequence, just to convey that something is kind of amiss. Because there's a transition that does not exist right here. There just isn't a scene. It's gone. Not right. We should have lost 500. No, then nearly a fifth of our force. Yeah, they didn't have that many guys anyway. Yeah, that is a large chunk of dialogue, and I want these three to say that, and then we can go to give work, save, up to the ready room. That'll be the end of the scene. So yeah, they're going to go up to the ready room, but they haven't gone there yet. So we're going to have this line, this scene. Page 36. So Grotesque doesn't say this line, this guy does. They could have screwed with the intelligence link, too. So where did What's-Her-Face go? I'm going to show where she went. She stepped forward immediately behind this guy. Well, we weren't looking. He's right here. Come on, stand up. Stand up. We almost missed a scene involving the infobit. Launched them into space. The data came from the station. Our friend Votebot. Literally got, literally no transition. We're yellow alert. We're out of default into the Autobot base. There's nothing there to indicate that's the Autobot ship that they're now on in the very next scene. Just so you know, there's some weird, that's like non-transitions going on here. Oh yeah, it's just a scene break. Yeah. I know that it's not a script, it's a novel, but you still have to have a transition in a book. Come on. So, minor change in the script, because the guy only appears in the first episode anyway. It's actually Optimus Prime, because that makes total sense more than this does. So this is the very last scene in the episode. It's sort of it's in the script, it's page 30 and then 40. But I thought it would be more punchy to have the last scene, to have this be the last scene in the story, and then go back and fill in the last raid on the planet. Only because it would be punchier to have, okay, we get to see Prime at the last second. We don't know where he is, but we get to see him. I assume he's on a ship near there relaying information to them. Instead of Vector Prime or Galacticus, because Galacticus, that doesn't make any sense. That's a guy from Marvel. Why would he be there? It doesn't make any fucking sense. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So so they're gonna signal the Autobot commander. Take us in. Okay, ready? Okay, we have 8 minutes left on this tape, but clearly this tape is gonna run out. More battery. I'm going to go to the other camera, but I want to let you know that this is the sure shot and point blank scene where they're introduced in literally the last 2 minutes of the movie is pointless. Why would it be them? I mean, why introduce 2 new guys when you have literally 2 minutes left? So you don't. You use the older ones. So what I'm going to do is that other stuff where you had Prime and him on the screen there instead of Vector Prime, that makes a whole lot more sense. Instead of doing that, so this is making of, I want you to, we're going to go back to the bridge footage where they're going to do their last raid on the planet. Trying to get to the comm tower thing. This is before the Prime footage. So when you go to to edit it, so that Prime footage is moved ahead to the end of the story. That's the last scene that we just shot. We're going back to do the scenes that are just before it. The scene that's literally the scene just before. It's after the idiot scene, the Decepticons complaining about the guys, and it's after they figured out they've been compromised. But they've been double compromised. And they threw in the Prime scene with Pounce being announced. That's going to be in the last 2 minutes of the movie officially. But now we're going to go back and have a little comeuppance for the bad guys. Even though I think they are in the next episode. But I'll have to check that out. But you don't need to know about that here. The tape is running out of the battery. I'm going to stop this tape right now and see how far along Pounce and Wingspan and the other survive. Let's see. Stop. So, this is March 5th and making of, and we're going to rush right into footage. We had some other scenes with the Autobots back on the ship. The way the script was originally written, they were already back on the ship and he was calling in the troops. We'll do that I'm going to move that scene up so that they're back on the ship with them. And then the scene doesn't make sense anyway because Night Racer is already there. So yeah,
So, okay, now we're going to cut to the last of the 20 drop ships docked. Now we're back on Counterpunch. So the idea is that Punch is literally Counterpunch. It's sort of the same guy. He's the double spy. So we have double spy doing stuff. And now he's come back to the other Decepticons to chastise them for letting the prisoner go. And the gag is that he's the one that let the prisoner go. But they don't know that. They haven't figured that out, even though they think after all these years they would have. But apparently they're not too bright on that subject. So maybe in this story, Counterpunch and Punch are actually other twins, like these guys in the back. And it's not the same guy, because otherwise, like, they can't figure that out. Are they that incompetent? Anyway, so so I'm not gonna have Counterpunch being mad because that doesn't make sense. How about Ex-Lawbus is the one that says this? Yeah, let's. I'm gonna change this up a little so that he doesn't actually divulge that information. So let's go. Note in ship's log. I am jumping to the next scene that involves just these two. They're in a slightly different setting. They're not in the same place, obviously. It's very, very obvious looking where they are at this point. Well, let's regress that. Page 43. Page 46. Page 42, it looks like. Check this. Yeah, okay. It's a little scene about the info bit. Pounce talking to... Certainly Pounce talking to Counterpunch. I don't think Wingspan's in the scene. So yeah, we're going ahead with all of his remaining lines. So it'll be 42, 43, so you know where to edit. Yeah. So, yeah, still rolling, but what I'm doing is breaking this up. It's just a chunk of text that doesn't look visually interesting, so I want to break it up between them. Giving him more lines, actually. Ooh, this is Pounce, not Wings. Yeah, this is the other guy. The leak continues leaking. But the data he sends out won't be going away. Our friend just resolved the files with us. Send out the same subspace pulse to alert the old courier system. Okay, so this is this guy. We're not sure what happened to this. We could have this other guy step in there. So yeah, there might be some pickups for later. But this amounts to doing a full week of shoot in 3 days of the remainder of the 48-minute pilot for Corrosion War Without End. Yeah, so this is what's in the can so far. There's no footage of the mothership yet. So they have to film that. There's no special effects. That's not filmed yet. Yeah, they're gonna static shots of ships, moving things, whatever. We did change the sure shot and point blank scene. It's no longer in there because it introduces us to two new Autobots. Well, we know who they are, but two new characters to the story that don't make any sense. Introducing them at the last 5 minutes of the story. Why do that? So instead, we gave their lines to the three data bots, the three mini bots that go back down to the planet instead, and gave some of the lines to Ex-Lawbot and some of them to the other guy that happened to be there, the Mr. Plinkett sounding guy, and just to have established that okay, he was gonna trick them again. He's gonna wait in the base for them to show up, and they did. Also, we reveal that Ex-Lawbot is the son of Strawberg and Alicon somehow. Not sure how that works, and he's got a twin sister who shows up later. So yeah, they're probably just like sparks. They're like transformers that have taken on the personalities. They're probably not actually them. Or it's Korg and Syrah.
from Robotech. It could be they took over their energy beings, which would be very interesting. But I think in this universe they're probably not, just because it's kind of just a joke, kind of just to be funny. And then you go on to the scene where they nuke the planet, leave. And that's the last 45 page 45, 46, 47. And then you come up to, some of it's going to be different when you edit this. You'll see. But yeah, it was essential to do that, because otherwise it would have been, those two characters didn't work. Throwing in a little gag about ex-Lobot, which could come up later or not. We're going to see Alicon at some point, so that'll be cool. But yeah, we've kind of seen her before as Sierra, the Invid Simul agent, was her as well earlier. But she's probably not her. It's just a joke. It'll be the same voice though. It'll be Piedmont. She'll return to do that. Already doing double duty or doing single duty as the voice of the Invid Regis ship, the Maximus ship, which that would be the mother, the Maximus ship. Of Syrah and Core and Ariel from the Robotech. Anyway, so we have the end of this shoot. Strike the sets, and I hope that it turned out, because Transformers set story, Corrosion, could be all edited together by late March, hopefully sooner than that. It's early March now. And we'll have a premiere of the first episode. It's interesting because a lot of the bad guys that are introduced in episode 1 never appear again. Some of them do. Pounce and Wingspan do appear. Pounce more than Wingspan. Punch and Counterpunch do. Ex-Lobot hardly does. He's in episode 2. And then never again. So he's mentioned a few times later on, but he's in episode 2. He'll probably have more lines now, just because we'll switch one of the other Decepticons for him. And hopefully it won't cause too much confusion. But yeah, we wanted just, your basic crew of Autobots. There's probably 15 of them there, and about 5 or 6 Decepticons. Any more than that in the story in the opening scene, and it's hard to keep track of them. And notice also they all have different personalities. They're all different colors. They all behave differently, and hopefully the voices aren't too bad. They seem to be good, so yeah. And I think the original script, the guy was British, because there's British humor in here. This shoot was, the last 2 days was harder than the other ones. There are bloopers throughout, but they are bloopers where we didn't laugh, or I didn't laugh, so you could go through it and find out where lines got flubbed, but it's mostly, I said that wrong, and so there's not a lot of actual funny bloopers. They were more like, we screwed up. We'll go again. But yeah, it is done. It's a wrap on the first episode of Corrosion. It's really subdued and moody over here, but okay, where's me? There we go. It's light. Okay, so yeah, this is it's the 12th, and these are pickup scenes for Corrosion, involving mainly the ship, the mothership, doing stuff. This tape has 80 minutes on it, and it should not be anywhere near that. It should be a few seconds each shot, and then go from there. To convey the stuff that's going on, ship. And some bad guys coming after the good guys. We filmed all the good guys. We didn't film all the Decepticons, so you can't tell what's going on. So this is probably footage that in previous iterations would have never been shot, and we would have just shot the thing and released it without any of the ship footage, and it would have looked really strange because there would be stuff missing. So we're going to do that right now in post. Yeah, so we don't need to do it later. We're going to steal borrow the planet footage from other websites that show planet footage because it looks better. We're gonna Just say if you came from the net, since this is not paid for anyway, we're not taking from Star Trek or any known thing or anything like that. Or any known Transformers episodes either. Yeah, this is completely new. So yeah, we looked at some footage. I looked at some footage of the Mega Starscream from Cybertron, but if I used that footage, it would look like the Mega Starscream from Cybertron, and it would look stupid. In this version, it's the spaceship, so it's. So let's do it. Right. So excellent. So if there's any other leftover pickups for this episode, I think I got everything in the can. So enjoy. It's Transformers, and of course the old school Fort Maximus from Jim Ticketron is the Autobot flagship in this story because it's the Corrosion of War. It's perfect. It's all beat up. It's all smashed. It wouldn't be the newer one that looks better. It would be the beat up one because it's Corrosion. Well, and it wouldn't be the SDF one because that wouldn't make sense. So it's that. It totally makes sense there. Anyway, so yeah. And if we do any other Robotech stuff in the future, we'll build a new SDF ship for that because that would be cool just to do it. But for now, not saying it's going to happen. Just for now, this is part one of Corrosion of War. Done. Put all the pieces together. Late this month might come out. YouTube. I don't know how long it'll be for episode 2 comes out, but it shouldn't be more than another month, I wouldn't think. We'll see. But episode 1 is in the can. Well, the 45-minute episode 1. 50-minute, roughly. So cool. Corrosion. Mega Starscream and all that. Imperial Starscream. Tim Campbell commented on that years ago on that guy being a little bit overkill. Also on the giant Cybertron, Megatron, Galvatron from that time period as well. Megatron/Galvatron and other ones. And I have a kitty right here. Yes, I have a kitty.